Hi, my name is Phil. I like to talk about politics. So, the Conservatives have released their manifesto. How on earth can they possibly top? They've had 10 years in government. They've done wonderful things. What are they going to do even better? So in this video, I'm going to discuss the rather lukewarm reception that various business leaders, their natural allies, have given to this manifesto release. But first, if you'd like to watch more of my videos, then please click the subscribe button as well as the bell notification icon next to it. So, Boris Johnson has now released his manifesto for the Vladimir Putin party. Oh, sorry, I meant the Conservative Party. And business leaders have been left in something of a quandary. Normally, they'd of course be very positive about a manifesto that basically says, we're not socialists, as the last thing they want is a government that will make them pay their fair share of tax and adhere to worker rights. But the problem they have is that Boris Johnson is not only he's going to be an unmitigated disaster for the country and the economy, but for their businesses as well, or the bulk of their businesses. They are trapped between the devil and the deep blue sea. So they've done the only thing they feel they can, which is signal some, as I say, lukewarm positivity about certain aspects of policy proposals, but warned about the impact Brexit will have. I mean, this is the real fear that they have. We can't support Labour, we need the Conservatives, but bloody hell Brexit, what are you thinking? So do they somehow hope that a Conservative government will emerge that will not pursue a hard Brexit? Seems a rather large gamble to be taking, that one. And taking various views into account, what they would like is the usual light touch Conservative government, which they will get with Boris Johnson, that essentially lets business owners run riot and do whatever they please. They'll get that. However, it doesn't matter how few rules there are for those business leaders if there is no business to be done. They were not happy with the lack of plans for growth, for example. A senior member of the CBI, who's the organisation who recently had to admit making up inflated figures about Labour spending plans, Josh Hardy has said this week that he was cautious over the danger of crashing out of the EU. Really doesn't want that. That would be a disaster. The thing is, they're not stupid. They understand the trajectory that Boris Johnson's Brexit plans follow. And it is not much in the way of getting access to the global or indeed European markets. He said he would look forward to hearing plans for tackling skill shortages and what he called infrastructure. I wonder if rolling out decent broadband that would be free for businesses and households would class as infrastructure. Labour have plans for that, Josh, mate. But if he's looking forward to hearing about plans for skills and infrastructure and, well, anything from the Conservatives, I may have bad news for him. Not only does Boris Johnson not do plans, doesn't really do any sort of plans, he just says a thing when it occurs to him and other people sort it out. But if it ain't in the manifesto, it ain't in their thoughts. There aren't going to be any discussions of plans for this, that or the other. If you ask Boris Johnson directly on camera, he would say, of course we've got marvellous plans for these, this and this. Yes, we're going to do everything you want. Why isn't it in the manifesto? Because you're not even pretending to. The guy from the CBI, Josh Hardy, he was also complaining that a focus on Brexit negotiations will take focus away from domestic policies on growth. They are desperate. Only the Conservatives at the moment are saying that our economy is strong. Everyone else knows it not. Even the ones who want to support the Conservatives. No, it's not. It's ridiculous. It's on its arse. It's been on its arse for years. And they desperately need a government to generate growth. They know Labour will do that, but they don't like the fact that they personally will not make as much profit from this. And it is certainly true, the fear they have, the focus on Brexit and Brexit negotiations and the Brexit negotiations to come after Brexit will take focus away from domestic policies on everything. We know that over the last few years, the civil service has been overstretched. It's not been stretched to capacity, it's been stretched way beyond capacity with Brexit duties. It's been broken. That has meant that things have essentially just not been done as ministers keep reorganising priorities. In essence, Whitehall is just not up to this sort of thing. And there has certainly not been an expansion of the service enough, anywhere near enough to accommodate this extra workload. As such, it's much the same. Imagine the scenario that your boss dumps a load of stuff on your desk. Of course, things fall by the wayside. And then if your boss every single day reorganises your priorities, not only will you get the normal things not get done, you'll get less done in general because you'll be much less efficient because you're not able to plan. Because every single day your priorities are changing. It's been much the same in the civil service. And it may not be every single day, but it has been too regularly for any sort of system. There's been people moved from pillar to post throughout Whitehall. You know, moved from one department to another. No one is able to get a handle on the situation, which means, as I say, not only are the things just not being done, the things that are being done are not being done efficiently. So much less productivity. And that is what is being said by those representing businesses, the ones who want a Conservative government, but want a Conservative government that isn't Boris Johnson's Conservative government. But what about the ones who really are not all that enamoured of the Conservatives at the best of times? So the chief executive of the NHS Confederation was much less impressed. They pointed out that 100,000 vacancies in England does not make it easy to provide the standard of healthcare expected. In fact, on that point, we've actually just had a load more leave because we get so many people working in the NHS and frontline services, doctors, nurses, other healthcare workers as well, from EU countries, from overseas in general. They've come from lots of countries around the world. But in particular, those from the EU have been buggering off back. They're not made to feel welcome. They're certainly not made to feel secure. You know, we were supposed to be guaranteeing settled status. We've been turning a load of people down on that. Absolutely outrageous. So we're not going to fill those vacancies. And it was also noted by this guy that, you know, promising a piss poor amount of new doctors might sound better than nothing. And in fact, to some people who don't understand the vacancy problems, it might sound, oh, 6,000 extra GPs, fantastic. You know, drop in the ocean compared to what we need. But it may sound better than nothing. But he said they have to come from somewhere, you know. You either have to get them from overseas, but we're losing foreign doctors and nurses, not gaining them, most especially from the EU, as I say, or you've got to train more in this country. But there are no plans to get anywhere near the shortfall trained up in this country, so that's not the plan. And even if you did, it takes quite a few years to train a doctor up, it takes a few years to train a nurse up. So it's going to be some years before you get them. In fact, if they're thinking short term as most politicians do, it's going to take longer than a full parliament to get a doctor on board. And it takes almost all that to get a nurse there. And the chief executive of the Health Foundation went beyond disappointed into scathing by saying that Johnson's lack of policies on social care was a, and I quote, a shameful omission for a party that's been in power for nearly a decade. So, all in all, nobody's exactly singing from the rafters about this manifesto. The ones who fear Jeremy Corbyn have plenty to criticise, but fall short of saying it's a bad manifesto. Those who are not at all afraid of a Labour government have been utterly disparaging about the lack of focus and planning for the future. But nobody seems to be pleased about what's been published, should we put it that way? So I hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, then please click the Patreon link for details as well. Until next time, I'll see you later.